Hey, Lonely Sickles here. I just wanted to give out a special shout out towards Nugget Thugget, who is an Omelet follower of mine. And I really just wanted to say thank you to you. I also want to say thank you to the family members who are helping out this channel. I really appreciate it. I have no words to explain the way I feel. And thank you so much. So let's continue with the story. This story is regarding an ex-boyfriend. So, hope you guys, I don't know, enjoy. I was 18 and I started working at a call center. It was practically my first job ever. It was a milestone for me when I got this job. And my sister had worked there, so it was like, wow, okay, this is the place where I get to be an adult. Slowly but surely, I figured out that they really didn't perform any background checks. A lot of the people that were working within this call center would be doing illegal stuff. And I'm not going to be mentioning exactly what they would be doing, but not a lot of background checks were made, and a lot of the people that were working there had convicted felonies or they were deported. It was just not a very good environment for a young teenager to be in. But well, life is that way, right? I had recently left my boyfriend. I was in a very delicate state of mind. I was depressed. I thought I wasn't going to accomplish anything. I was in a very dark place in my life. My boyfriend of 3 years had cheated on me, and 3 days went by, and he was already with his new girlfriend outside of my house, holding hands and kissing and whatever, and I just felt like complete trash. I got to the point where I would literally go to sleep, wake up the next day, change from my pajamas, have the same clothes, and I would not even wash my face or brush my teeth or comb my hair. I wouldn't do anything. I would wake up, change my pajamas, stay with the same shirt I slept in, and just go to work. It was just such a devastating point of my life where I really started assuming that I wasn't worth anything. And well, there was this one guy who came up to me, and on these really dark days, you can just tell, you can just look at me and be like, ew, what's wrong with you? So this guy comes up to me and he's like, hey, beautiful. And I knew I looked like crap. I knew everybody knew I looked like crap, but he said that to me in such a tone that made me try to feel happy at a moment. So it was just generally, it just made me fall for him? Ew. But yes. So even though this guy wasn't attractive, even though he was a complete a-hole, I just fell for him. I thought nobody would ever notice me, and he did on one of my very dark moments or days. So we started talking, and I never loved this guy. I loved the idea of having someone else. Seeing that my ex-boyfriend was already hooking up with another girl, I assumed that maybe I can fall in love with someone else and forget that memory and make new ones. So I got in love with the idea of forgetting the past by remaking a new one. I was very I'm very closed out. I don't let people get close to me. I don't have any intimate friends. I just remain to myself a lot. So when he would ask me out to dates or when he would tell me that we should, go someplace, I would always be like, "No." Or, I gave myself a little bit of time, but at the same time, I was looking for something to forget, right? I was just very in a situation where I just wanted someone to make me feel different. I just wanted to feel like someone actually appreciated me or found me attractive. I think within a month, I let this person into my life, this random dude. I just let him in, and he started poisoning my mind. When you're young and you don't know how things are going to happen and you're very unexperienced towards life, people have a way of manipulating. So he started giving me the ideas of like, oh, your mom doesn't let you do anything, you are being controlled, I'm the only one who really appreciates you, you should come live with me. He started getting into to feeding me these sort of lies to make me believe that he was almighty, that he was my salvation, that he was going to be making me a different person, and that he was going to be the right person for me. I got in a huge fight with my mom, my sister, like everybody. I walked away from everybody. I was so butthurt about the only boyfriend I had cheated on me, so I was quick to jump into the solution that it was probably because of my family that I was going through such a rough time, and I got away from everyone. I I got rid of my friends. I just slowly became like a doll to my ex-boyfriend. So I moved away with this random guy. I started renting a room within his apartment. Like he was quick. He had everything planned out for me, which was like should have been the first red flag, but I was young. I was fascinated with the idea of living on my own. It was my first job. It was basically the first everything I've ever had. So I moved in with him and I started renting one of the rooms in his department. And while that was going on, he wanted to be more intimate with me. He wanted me to be more of a wifey material, more of cleaning the house, making him dinner. So I did. I even though I work and study, and when I stopped, I remember this day. I stopped cleaning and I stopped cooking because we got a PlayStation. I'm a huge gamer. Well, not huge gamer. I really like video games where, just creepy Silent Hill, Resident Evil, Call of Duty Zombies, like I'm really into that zone. I got really into it. So I didn't clean one day and he came and he's like, "Why didn't you clean? Why is everything dirty?" Basically like telling me like you're supposed to be doing this and you're not doing this. I thought he was joking. Literally, I thought he was just, being a little crybaby. I don't know. And he had grabbed me and he threw me on the floor. I didn't know what to think. I was just like, whoa, this only happens in movies, right? So I walk away. Like I was talking to someone on my account. We were playing zombies, Call of Duty Zombies, and we were doing like the hardcore Easter egg. And he did that. Like even my friend, he heard everything. And my boyfriend unplugged the PlayStation. I got off the floor and I went towards my room and he followed me like he was straight behind me and I can feel the tension. I can feel the vibration of evil. I don't know if that makes sense, but I could feel like he wanted to hit me. So he came up towards me and he started choking me. Like legit, he grabbed me, pinned me on the wall and started choking me like a little rag doll. I had no idea what to feel. I was feeling some type of way, but let me tell you, I started laughing. I started laughing like really, really deep, seeing a meme that you actually connect to. I started laughing my head off. And while he was choking me, even though I couldn't laugh correctly, he knew I was laughing at the top of my lungs. Like I was laughing. He just the way his eyes looked, the way he looked at me, it was just devastating. I knew he wanted me to feel pain or to feel scared, but I didn't. I was laughing. Like my brain disconnected for that moment, and I really really saw myself a third person just seeing that happen. And in my little head, I was just like, okay, this only happens in movies. Ha 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 ha. Just, I really disconnected so bad. And he once again tossed me on the floor, and that's when I reacted and I started crying. And he started saying stuff like, "Oh, it's all your fault. You're the one to blame." This manipulation once again. I've never met a narcissistic personality, but let me tell you, honey boy, he was narcissistic. He thought that he was the best thing ever, that if something happened, it had to be somebody else's fault. He was number one and no one can beat him. He was always supposed to be number one and no one else. So whenever something went wrong, he would assume that it was me. That was the first time that he had been physical towards me. Then on the second occasion, I was once again playing on the PlayStation 4 Call of Duty with the same friend I had made online. We were doing the hardcore Easter egg on Call of Duty World War II. Trust me, these Easter eggs are so long to do sometimes. A guy had moved in, and my boyfriend started renting the room where I was staying to him, and I started staying with him in his room. It wasn't a long time. I think like we were we were staying in the same room for like a week, and he was disgusting. Like, dude, I don't like I would sleep inside the closet because I just hated knowing that I was near him. So, even his friends, this is funny but true. His friends started becoming friends of mine, and they're just like, "Hey, why are you with this guy? Like, what are you doing with your life?" And I was 18 and he was a 27-year-old man, he was a lot, he was older than me. So what was I doing with a man like him? And it was just very, he started renting the room where I was staying in to another guy, and his roommate was pretty awesome. The guy, if you ever listen to this story, shout outs to you, kudos, he was an awesome dude, still is. So me and him were playing on this Call of Duty, and I was teaching him how to do, little tricks and how to do the Easter egg and how entertaining it was. And that's when my boyfriend came in and he was pissed. Like, he saw me playing with his roommate and he was just like, "What are you doing? Go back into the room. What are you doing?" And I was just like, "You know what? I already made dinner. Everything's clean. I don't know what you want from me." And he's like, "No, get up. You're not supposed to be playing with my roommate. He's my friend." And I was just like, "What are you, like I didn't want to argue. I got up. I put the controller down. I was like, "Hey, bro, thank you for playing with me. I'm gonna go to bed." And my boyfriend comes in and he hits me, like he soccer punches me in the face. I fall on the floor hard, but I don't cry at that moment. I'm just like in so much shock that he actually physically harmed me, and I stay in this moment of shock, holding on to my cheek. And I get up and I start walking out of the apartment. We're on the top floor. There's like 4 floors. We're on the top fourth floor. And I start walking outside, I wanted to clear my mind. I wanted to see the stars outside. So I start walking outside and he comes right behind me. And in front of his roommate, because we're in the living room, I'm walking outside. Um, right in front of his roommate, he grabs me and he throws me on the floor. And my roommate, he has no power. The one who leased the apartment, or the one who had the authority or was on the paperwork towards the apartment, was him. So my roommate could actually, get kicked out. So even knowing this, he got up and he's just like, "Hey, yo, dog, take it easy. What's going on? Like, don't harm her." And that's when I started crying. And he was like, "What are you gonna do? Do you want me to kick you out?" And my roommate, he looked at me, and I knew with the look he gave me, I knew he felt sorry, but he was also like not willing to risk his his living situation for my abusive toxic relationship. So he left the living room. I went outside. I was crying, and my boyfriend, he went into my room and started picking up my clothes and just throwing them outside. And it was just like a horrible night. I was just sobbing and looking at the stars while he was throwing my stuff on the floor. He stopped. Thankfully, he didn't throw a lot of clothes. I didn't have a lot of clothes, so he just threw some stuff and, he went back into the room, and my roommate came out, and he was just like, "You know what? I can help you." And we started like dusting off my clothes and just talking, and he told me he wasn't even like the first guy friend of his to tell me like, "Hey, you deserve better." So, this is to keep it short. Okay, you guys, this gives you a little bit of knowledge of what type of guy this guy was. So, there's many other stories, and maybe I'll make other segments regarding those stories, but I'm gonna keep this short. The day that I left him, I was I was sharing the same room with him, and his phone kept buzzing. Like, I'm not clingy. I'm not the type of person to be like, "Who are you texting? What are you doing?" No, ew, yuck. Like, you can have your own personal friends and mine. And I grabbed his phone, and it was an iPhone, so it had like the Face ID, and well, I unblocked the phone. And he had around 3 messages from other girls where he was obviously cheating on me. And he was mocking, like, on one of these girls, he was actually making fun of me. Like, they were talking trash about me. Like, "Oh my gosh, she has no idea that you like me and not her," and all this stupid stuff. And I started praying. I didn't believe in God in that moment. Like, young a young 18-year-old me. I never believed in God, but I kneeled down and started to pray, and I asked God to give me the strength to leave him. I I prayed to whoever would hear me to leave this person, to give me the strength, to give me that emotional push to actually establish the things I wanted. And the next day I woke up and I texted my sister, and I was like, "Hey, can you please get me an Uber? I'm done. Like, I want to go back home." I don't remember exactly what I said, but it was to that effect. My sister ordered an Uber for me. I didn't have any money. Like, I had no one, nothing, because he had made me to this personal doll. Like, everything I did was controlled by him. So when I had my sister's helping hand, which I'm so grateful for, still am so grateful for, I had 5 trash bags, 5 black bags of clothes. That's all I had in my name. And I was carrying out my bags. I was on the third bag when my boyfriend shows up. And he's like, "What are you doing? You're not leaving. Where are you going?" Very disgusting. So he I look at him, and I don't feel anything, you guys. I feel absolutely nothing. And I'm just like, "Help me with my bags, bitch." I'm like, "Help me. I'm leaving you. You knew this was gonna happen. I'm done with you. I can't." And he starts crying hysterically, like crying really bad, and he starts kneeling, and he starts dragging himself on the floor, and he's like, I need you. I love you," and saying all this stupid crap that he never said before. And I'm just like, "You know what? No, no, thank you, child. Bye-bye." And I make him carry my bags, and I leave. And this is not the end. I go back home. My mom is just like, "What happened?" And I start telling my mom the whole story. And I deeply apologize for everything I did, because I was so in need of attention that I looked for attention in the wrongest way possible. And people are evil. Certain people are out there to harm those who are most vulnerable. So, I I think about a week had passed. No, probably like 2 weeks. I was taking a shower at 3 in the morning. Don't ask why. Basically, depression. Well, I'm just kidding, but really, you know, I was taking a shower at 3 in the morning and I heard someone knocking on the door, and it was a soft knock. It wasn't like a hysterical knock. It was a very soft, gentle knock, but I heard it and I was like, "Huh, that's so weird." So I got out of the shower, I put on a shower robe, and I was thinking like, "Huh, maybe somebody needs help." In my little mind, I assumed that someone outside really needed help. So I went downstairs in my flip-flops and in my shower robe with my hair is drenched in water. I barely got out of the shower. I open the door up, and guess who it is? Yes, yes, child. It's my crazy ex-boyfriend, my ex-abuser, the most despicable man I've ever met. He's there wearing a hoodie, and he's holding something underneath his hoodie, and pointing with it at me. And it seems like he's hiding a weapon underneath his hoodie. He's like, get out, and I don't know if it's a gun, I don't know if it's a knife, but he's hiding it underneath his hoodie and he's like motioning me to sit down. So he closes the door behind me. I still have the keys, thankfully. And I put the keys inside my shower robe and I sit down on the sidewalk, and he's just like, "Why did you leave me? This is all your fault. I'ma kill you." And I could just tell by the way he was looking at me, by the way he was crying, that he was out there to harm me, that he wanted to do something horrible to me. And my flight or fight moment came in, and I started sweet talking, and I pretended to be the most babyest doll I could be. And I was just like, "No, honey, what's wrong? Don't worry, I'm here for you. Please." I started making all my little sweet talk boy. And he kind of like relaxed a little, and that's when I noticed he smelled a lot like alcohol. He was completely drunk. And he sat down by me and he called his mom. He dialed up his mom. He's like, Mom, I'm a killer. I'm a killer, Mom." Like sobbing. I've never seen a man cry the way he was crying that day, but he was sobbing. I could see the boogers. He was drooling even from how much he was crying. He seemed like a child throwing a tantrum, but he was crying. And I wasn't paying much attention to what he was telling or saying to his mom, basically to the extent of like, "Oh yeah, I'm a killer. And I'm sorry that I'm not gonna see you again." He was like basically already saying his goodbyes to her. That's when he told me, he's like, "My friend is gonna come pick us up. We're gonna leave. His car is almost here." And I got like this instinct or this gut feeling that something horrible was gonna happen to me if I got into the car. So I started walking, and in my head I thought, "Okay, I'm gonna go to the nearest door and start banging on the door and crying out for help. If he has a gun, I'm dead. But if he has a knife, I'll outrun him. That was my mind process. So I start walking to one of the nearest doors, and it's a corner, right? So I have to turn and do a sharp right turn, and I'm hidden behind one of the buildings, because it's a straight road, and I'll make a turn for it and book it. So I start doing this, and when I make the turn to get out of his eyesight, I run towards the store, and I hear his running right behind me, and he catches up to me and he pulls me by the hair and he yanks me down. He didn't I didn't fall into the floor, but he just really yanked me, and I And then he started poking me with like whatever he was hiding behind his hoodie. I think it was a knife, but I'm not sure. So he starts poking at me and he's like, move it, or I'll kill you. Go back. Let's go back to where we were. And I start getting the sensation again, you know, I start sugarcoating myself and being like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I just assumed that you probably need toilet paper and I wanted to go to the store." You know, I start being like this little baby doll again. I start faking and putting on this mask. And he pulls me back. We go back in front of my house. And my last process or my last idea to get help is to start banging on my parents' door, to start banging on my on my door. And hopefully that one of my sisters would hear me crying outside. So the car pulls up and I'm just like, okay, this is it. This is it. I just knew it. I could just feel in the bottom of my gut, if I got in that car, I would never see daylight. So I start banging on my parents' door to my house, and I just start banging and banging on the door, yelling for help and crying. And he grabs me, my ex-boyfriend, he grabs me and he punches me in my face, and I fall down on top of this lemon tree because we had a beautiful lemon tree. So he pulled me for a while, you know, it wasn't like a fast pull. He pulled me, punches me in the face, and I fall on top of this lemon tree. And lemon trees, for you guys that don't know, have little tiny splinters, like when they're barely growing, they're babies. So I fell on top of this lemon tree, but I stayed more in shock with the fact that he punched me so hard. It was the hardest punch I've ever received. And I didn't cry. I looked at him and I gave him this most disgusting look I could. You know, that look you give yourself when you pour in a cup of cereal and then you realize there's no milk. Like that type of like, "Oh my God, you're an idiot." You know, like I gave him that type of look. And he just looked at me with this type of face like not expecting me to look that way, but I didn't give him the satisfaction of seeing me sad. So he got into the car and he left. I got up. I started touching my teeth. You know, I put my two fingers in my mouth and just started moving around and, you know, checking my teeth because I had braces and I was scared that maybe he had punched me and one of my teeth like came off with the braces, or, you know, one of the little braces came off. So I was just fidgeting around my mouth, just figure just just touching around everything, just trying to figure out if he had, you know, pulled out one of my teeth or something. And no, I was okay. I tossed the blood. I cleaned out my fingers. You know, I was bleeding from my lip. He had opened up my lip, and also like I don't know how, but I probably bit my tongue. So I went into my house. I closed the door behind me. I went to my bed and told no one. The next day, I stayed in bed for the whole day. Like I didn't get up. I didn't tell anyone what was going on. I thought it was my fault that I was going through the situation I was going through. Like I had allowed him to get so intimate with my family house. I allowed him to know so much information about me. 2 weeks go by and I'm at school and I start. You know how schools have those hallway mirrors or those hallway um, windows where you can see people passing by or people can peek in? Well, I was in my class, and guess what? Someone started peeking into the room, into my classroom, and they would just like pop their head and then hide away. And it was just creepy, and I thought maybe, you know, I was hallucinating or I don't know, it was just ugh. And the next day, the exact same thing happened, but my friend who was sitting behind me, one of my classmates was sitting behind me, and he's like, "Hey, is someone peeking in here? Like, am I seeing someone like stare in here?" And I got scared. Like, I had goosebumps all over and, you know, a cold sweat behind my spine because I knew it was him. Then my next class, I had a computer, And computer rooms always have like the biggest windows, they always make it very obvious that it's the computer room. So I was sitting in my computer that's in front of the window that's for the passing hallway, so it's the window and I can see the people passing on the hallway. So I'm sitting there, clicking away, doing my stuff, and I see a sudden flash. I'm just like, what is that? And I turn up and I see him on his phone taking pictures of me. And I'm just like, I know he's doing that because he wants to get my attention. If you take a picture on a window with flash, you're gonna get a whole white picture. It's not gonna be a picture of me because, he was doing that to get my attention. And I get up and I tell my teacher, like, hey, I'm gonna change my computer because this computer, the control Z is not working. The control keyboard button is not working. I'm gonna change over here. And he's like, okay, no problem. And on that day, I was just like, you know what, this is insane. I'm gonna look for help. So I went to one of these women institutions where they, they help out women in need, women who have been through domestic violence or looking for express divorce, like one of these women institutions. So I went there and they're just like, no, we need to have an appointment to attend. You have to make an appointment. We're busy. And I'm just like, okay, well, when is the next appointment available? Like, I wanna, go through a restraining order process. So the lady was very kind. She's like, okay, come back in 3 days, and she gives me a day to come back. And on that same night, I saw a white jet, a white Nissan Versa car parked outside my parents' house. And when I saw the car, I just knew it was him. I knew he was there, just staring at me, just making sure that I kept up with my schedule because I have a very tight schedule. So I was 100% sure that it was him inside that white car. The 3 days went by and it was the exact same thing. He would peek into my classroom. If I had computer class, he would be there trying to take pictures of me. And even one of my classmates was just like, whoa, Lonely, are you famous or something? And I'm just like, no. And I went on the third day to get a restraining order, and the guy was very mean to me. Um, I don't know what he had to study or what he studied, but he was very, very mean. I showed him pictures. And one of your first things to do once you leave a toxic relationship is to delete everything, delete, delete, delete. And I basically only had the picture of the time he had punched me in the face. I had a huge bruise underneath my like right underneath my jawline, and my lip was parted. I took a picture of that. And he tells me like, no, this can be actually a forgery. You can probably do some good Photoshop. And he basically told me that I was lying, or not so much lying. He just basically said I don't want to pursue a restraining order when more than likely this isn't something severe. Like, I understand. There's a lot of women out there that take advantage of the justice system, and also because you're putting up these barriers, those who really have an issue feel bad. So I felt like crap. He told me that the best thing he can do for me is to give my ex-boyfriend a notice that he would receive in the mail that he has a restraining order for 2 days for me as the victim to get everything aligned, to get everything adjusted. And I looked at this guy and I'm just like, are you kidding me? Do you think I can change schools within 2 days? Do you think my parents can get a new house in 2 days? And he was like, this is the best thing I can do for you. And I was like, no, No, thank you. It's gonna be so much issue for me. He's gonna be even madder if he gets a notification. Like, I'm done. Like, thank you, bye, and I left. Honestly, I never really thought about Googling someone, but I knew his full name, my crazy ex-boyfriend's full name. So I searched up his full name on Google, you guys. I Googled his ass. I Googled his full name, and guess what? I see a mugshot. He was in prison for 2 years for aggravated assault and first degree murder. And I'll probably put in a picture of him, but I'm not gonna say like trust me. I would probably say his name later on, but I don't want him to get any attention. He does not deserve anything from me. And this story is basically for those who are going through a tough situation and have no one. I You always have someone. Trust me, there's always gonna be someone. So yeah, I googled him and I figured out he's a wanted criminal. He actually fled. Uh, I think it was in Idaho, where he was wanted for first degree manslaughter and also multiple uh, DUIs, driving under the influence, tickets. So it's just like how insane the world is and how puny how can things happen the way they happen. So, yeah, this is the end of the story. Be creeped out. People are creepy. Don't trust anyone. Put on a seatbelt. Eat a lot of Oreos with milk. Bye. Take care.